Hi there, this is Olivia. I'm back. And in this video, I'm gonna talk shit about a very famous course just to get clicks for my channel. Of course, I'm not gonna talk shit about a course I didn't attend. And I am not here to decide for you if CSM is worth it or not. But I thought this was a good video to get out there after my break. So I'm gonna start with the practical things I considered when I decided not to apply to the MA after I had already done fashion folio and graduate diploma and was already so close to everyone's dream course in fashion design. And then I'm gonna walk my way through to what I know now it was the roots of everything else. So let's start from the top with number 5. Job prospects, career opportunities. I was a mature international student with a horrible CV. I was the best kid ever up until high school, and then it was just downhill from there. Then I had the hardest time staying at one course after I finished high school. After I finished MA Fashion College in Tokyo, I went back to Brazil and had a really hard time finding a job. All the jobs I found were in pretty toxic environments, and I didn't even do 6 months at each of them. And when I was between jobs, of course, I would try to do some freelance, and I would do the odd jackets or evening gown made to order here and there, and that's actually quite common. Which I didn't know that back then, but that's actually quite common for fashion designers. Apart from that, from the horrible CV, if you haven't realized yet, maybe it doesn't come across in the videos, but I'm actually very introverted, and my personality is a little bit awkward. So that's probably never made me a very attractive job candidate. And doing the MA would mean that I was placing all my bets in that diploma to get me the job offers, the connections, the network, and most importantly, the work visa for someone who only has a Brazilian passport. That is not an investment. That's wishful thinking. That is super duper naive wishful thinking. I will say that my friends from the grad dip that went on to do the MA seem to be doing really well. Don't ask me too many questions. I don't have access to people's tax returns. But I knew my situation, and you have to assess what your case is. 4. Money. Remember my god-awful CV from before? Yeah, it's not like I had £30,000 in a savings account and then another 50,000 in multiple investment funds to support me doing DMA, and then another 5,000 for emergencies, or let's face it, to fund my final collection. Stay with me. I'm not being fancy with the financial talk. Back in 2015, when I got into the grad dip, the tuition fee for international students was almost £18,000. And to get my tier 4 student visa, I had to prove that I had at least £1,050 for every month of the course. So that's 9 months times 1,050. That's like £9,450 just sitting there in a savings account. £1,050 was okay back then to have a comfortable student life, but that doesn't account for all the supplies you need for a very intense fashion course. Maybe you're extremely thrifty, maybe you're way more resourceful than me, maybe you do awesome with $750 per month, but it's better to err on the safe side. And remember, I did grad dip, it's 1 year, and we only had to produce 2 looks from our final lineup. The MA is a year and a half, and you have to produce 6 looks. They have to be very well executed so you can possibly show them at London Fashion Week. Of course, there are many scholarships, but it's not a guarantee that everyone will get something. Sometimes one person will have 2 scholarships and you have nothing. 3, age. Maybe you think my money talk was a bit too grown up, but don't be fooled by my half Asianness. I am now almost 34, and I was already 27 when I started Fashion Folio in 2014. But being responsible with money is something that I learned very slowly and well into my adult years. The one thing I got going for me is I have zero debt because my parents paid for everything. Just not to say that all international students are loaded. My case, I knew I didn't have to live off canned beans and spaghettios, but for example, I never had my 1 bedroom right next to CSM. So I could probably say like, we're not rich, we're comfortable. There would be the money to, if I wanted to do the MA, but I felt really ashamed to be spending so much of my mommy and daddy's money. I was a grown ass woman with zero savings of my own. I was spending a lot of money that I didn't make, and I was doing that to pursue what was probably a pipe dream. And every day I had this feeling in the background that I had to turn my life around somehow. 2, skill level. I wasn't comfortable with my career situation, like very much. But at the same time, I knew it wasn't a matter of, okay, I just need to get this one more course and then it will all be good. Actually, if I didn't have good enough skills of drawing and cutting and sewing, I wouldn't even gotten into Fashion Folio because, as I wrote in I don't know how many blog posts, CSM is not about teaching you how to do things. You already need to know how to do your thing somehow so you can work on your own, and then you bring all your work back to your tutor to be critiqued. This is a very simplistic explanation of how things go there because this is not what this video is about. Have no doubt that it is a super intense process. So here's my friendly, unsolicited advice. If you want to have proper classes with a teacher writing on the blackboard and you following on your textbook, go to Bunka Fashion College. If you're one of the people casually asking me in the comment section, how do I make a portfolio to apply? I have to say, you're nowhere near getting into CSM. No shade, I didn't know either. That's why I had to do a whole year of Fashion Folio. Last one, number 1, my emotional and mental health was in a really bad shape. I was a mess. Or to be more specific and less dramatic, I have a very long history of depression. I was officially diagnosed when I was 19, but I had some pretty obvious signs showing up when I was 17. That means that half my life was depression, and my entire adult life was depression. And if you go back and really pay attention to what I said in the other topics, I wasn't just listing rational objections. I was telling you about my emotional states. Besides being clinically depressed, my self esteem was in the toilet. I didn't have the confidence to stand by my work. I didn't have the capacity to listen to critique objectively and process the information that I was receiving in a constructive way. Every obstacle I met, my self-esteem would go on a downward spiral, and it was really hard for me to like bounce back. It really didn't matter what I did. No amount of therapy, coaching, religiosity, spirituality, hardcore doses of antidepressants and anxiety pills could fix me. So I just kept pushing myself, riding on this fantasy that once I got that one breakthrough, then all else would be sorted. But at the same time, I was also unconsciously putting myself in situations where I feel stressed, lonely, harassed, confused, misunderstood, hopeless, and that would only strengthen my depression. I'm not saying here you need to be in perfect emotional and mental health to benefit from the course. I'm not saying I was the only one struggling. Actually, I'm really sorry I acted like such a special little oversensitive cupcake when all my friends were also going through their own shit. My point is that you do need to check your maturity level because you be constantly picking yourself up, and you always have to be reminding yourself why you chose to be in that school to have such a hard time. Speaking about my case, I knew I didn't have it in me anymore, and maybe I never had it in me, and I was just fueled by delusion all the way. From the moment I decided not to apply to the MA, it still took me many years to finally face the real reality of my situation and finally find practices that help me get back on my feet. So if you resonate with what I said in this video, I wish you make more educated decisions about your career than I did, and that you also take charge of your emotional and mental health a lot sooner too. Hope it was helpful. This was way too personal, and really hope it didn't come across too melodramatic. So I'll see you next time. Bye.